Bangladesh Prime Minister is not at the helm of affairs. If Sheikh Hasina cannot take decisions anymore, who does? Is it going to be the Bangladesh army? Because in just a short while, I can tell you, we are expecting in the next few minutes for Bangladesh's army chief to make a statement. This is huge. Is it going to go the Pakistan way, where army becomes the all too powerful and can sometimes even dictate how the government runs? Or is it going to change specifically when it comes to at least have an alternate on this? All right, I'm joined now on the phone line. Miss Veena Sikri. Miss Veena Sikri is joining me. Miss Sikri, you have immense experience when it comes to several countries, and I know that especially when it comes to Bangladesh as neighbor nations, you've been able to serve in sometimes difficult circumstances as well. As a former diplomat, how do you see such a situation when a Prime Minister has to leave and what it means for India?
Well, I think, let me say first and foremost that India wants stability and continued development in Bangladesh. So obviously this kind of a situation where the Prime Minister has been forced to leave her office is concerning, but we will be watching the situation to see how it develops. Right from 2:30 onwards, from 2:30 India time, there has been reports that the army chief is going to address the nation. And then the reports came that Ganabhaban, which had been secured by the army, the mob broke through and took over Ganabhaban. And the Prime Minister had to leave, and the reports are that she has left the country. This is a complete repeat of what happened in Sri Lanka. In Sri Lanka, if you recall, when the Rajapaksa, they had to leave the country just like this. Under these circumstances, it's a kind of I don't know which countries are behind it, but there's a kind of a situation very reminds one of that. Now, I understand from Bangladesh that the army chief is in talks with a number of other political representatives and maybe other representatives of the Islamic League also, and trying to put together a kind of a caretaker government. I do not think that the army will want that kind of political power that you just referred to, that is the Pakistan model. I think it will be much more a repeat of what happened in 2007 in Bangladesh when there was an army-backed caretaker government. And then that caretaker government called for elections. So I think this is what will happen in Bangladesh.
Ms. Sikri, you served as the Indian High Commissioner in Bangladesh from 2003 to 2006, at least if I'm correct, if my memory goes right. How have you seen Bangladesh change? Because it appears with Sheikh Hasina, it gained a certain stability, and also as India, we had a certain friendship. But do you think that it's staring at a sort of instability and uncertainty right now?
At the moment, there is complete instability and uncertainty. But
yes.
Let us see if the army chief addresses the nation as scheduled at about 4 o'clock. Then if he's been able to talk to all the players and get some kind of a caretaker government going, then it will be certainly very good. I agree with you that Sheikh Hasina, in her last 15 years of continuous prime ministership, she has helped in the development, the economic prosperity of the country in a huge way, and Bangladesh is now coming out of the LDC level and going into the next higher level of development. And a lot of people have been taken out of poverty, but economic problems have resurged in the recent months. So that is a problem too. So there are a number of problems. I think the quota reform protest, I think that was just a starting point, and the answer to that came on 21st July, when the Supreme Court of Bangladesh gave them what they wanted and removed the quota. Now there's just 5% for children of freedom fighters and another 2% for others. So that quota reform protest, I would say in that sense was over, but it morphed into something completely different. It morphed into a demand for Sheikh Hasina to go, and it was attack on the students, the killing of the students on 16th and 17th July that led to this. And after that, there was this attempt to bring all the people onto the streets of Dhaka, which is what has happened today. So I think that this kind of a situation, again, I'm really reminded in the recent past of what has happened in Sri Lanka. I think we need to watch very carefully, and I sincerely hope that the army chief will be able to put together a caretaker government, a group that will then run the country for a few months till they can have it.
I do have one more question, and that is, how do you think India should be right now? Of course, we cannot interfere. We have no point in doing that, no decision on that, but we have our borders, the northeast, specifically Bengal. Do you think we'll have to ensure at least our borders at this point are kept safe and secure?
Absolutely, that is an absolute top priority. Complete, stand to attention at the borders, because we have to be very careful on that. At the same time, we should look after the interests of all the Indian students and other Indian people who are living there and help them to come back to India should they so wish to do that. So these two are going to be our priority, and of course, watching the situation, what is happening there, and we're hoping that it will lead to some kind of stability. It is right in the middle of, we're in the vortex right now, and if by evening there is a kind of an emergence from the situation after the army chief talks with various people, I think that will be a good outcome. We hope for that.
I appreciate you joining us, Ms. Veena Sekhri, and with your experience telling us about what history, present and future looks like as much for Bangladesh as for neighbor nations. I also bring in Shiv Arur now into this special telecast. Shiv, this is huge. Bangladesh Prime Minister seen leaving. We don't know where. What do you think this moment really means? Go ahead.
If she's getting into a helicopter, then my sense, Pooja, is that she's headed to India. I can't think of where else, Sheikh Hasina would probably want to go in a helicopter, or can actually go in a helicopter. That's point number one. Point number two, India would be the logical destination for her, because it is seen as friendly territory. What's been happening in Bangladesh over the last few weeks, the deaths of over 300 people, many of them students, opposition leaders, etc., has meant that Bangladesh has become a bit of a regional pariah. They've been kind of distanced by their neighbors. India is the only country that continues to have a very healthy relationship with Bangladesh, and therefore, if she actually is headed to India, that would not be surprising at all. She could possibly even land in Bengal and then chart out her next course. But the point is that Sheikh Hasina's house right now, those pictures we've seen of the Ganabhaban, the Prime Minister's residence in Dhaka being taken over by huge swarms of protesters, angry demonstrators, reminds me of what happened in Sri Lanka just a couple of years ago. And that is basically the peak of civil unrest. Now, the Prime Minister's residence is a VIP protected territory. Let me just, if I could ask our producer to put those pictures on our screen right now. The infiltration of the Prime Minister's residence in Dhaka, where you can see people have taken over the entire residence. Can we put those pictures on our screen, please? As I speak, there are pictures of what's happening inside the Prime Minister's residence. Looting, demonstrators, taking over the most protected establishment inside Dhaka. These are real pictures, viewer, coming in from the ground in Bangladesh's capital. This is basically tantamount, viewer, to 7 Lok Kalyan Marg being infiltrated by thousands of angry demonstrators. What you're looking at is the Bangladeshi equivalent of 7 Lok Kalyan Marg being crashed and taken over by activists and demonstrators. This is the peak